Diablo 4 made me play Diablo 2, and I want to talk about it. Hello, and welcome to the party. Thank you for stopping by. I recently started playing Diablo 2 again because of the Diablo 4 beta. I'm going to go over some talking points in terms of my experience with Diablo 2, and then I'm going to round it all back to kind of Diablo 4 and my thoughts in general, and some things that I think would be good for Diablo 4 to take into consideration as they get closer and closer to the actual launch of the title. So, why Diablo 2 after playing Diablo 4? Honestly, Diablo 4 made me feel very nostalgic. I know a lot of people are giving a lot of feedback on the game. There's a lot of love for it. There's a lot of hate out there. And I think that the feedback for Diablo 4 has just gotten to a point where people have, for whatever reason, seem to have forgotten that the game was in beta, and yes, there will be issues, and that is not an indicator of how the final game may turn out. Holy crap, I enjoyed Diablo 4 enough to say, you know what, I'm going to go back to Diablo 2 and I'm going to give it a shot. And the funny thing is I started playing my Diablo 2 game pretty much the second day after the first open beta, and I found myself playing Diablo 2 more than I did Diablo 4. Not because Diablo 4 had a level cap of 25, but genuinely speaking, I found myself enjoying Diablo 2 more than Diablo 4. So here are my thoughts on the future of Diablo and some things that I think are worth just pointing out to developers, and some suggestions I have for features that I think would improve the quality of life without sacrificing replayability, or I guess you could say grind and effort. First, rune words. The developers of Diablo 4 have already confirmed that rune words are coming back. This is exciting so long as it doesn't take 3 months of farming one area to get a somewhat high rune without trading. I love creating the rune words themselves. It's satisfying, and the power boost that they offer, even on lower rune words, is really significant. I love that. Getting the runes fucking sucks, dude. Next, skill tree. The skill tree is old, but still works to this day. Even though it's simple, you do feel a sense of accomplishment once you start getting your main build up and running. I think it should be the same way in Diablo 4. Most characters have a point where things start to take off, and it feels really, really good when that happens, and you look forward to it, you want it, you get excited about it, and I love that. In addition to this, no class feels particularly more powerful than the other. A level 20 Amazon doesn't seem to outperform a level 20 Barb before gear. It helps make the world feel more alive and balanced, and it helps the characters or the players feel like they're coming together to overcome this challenge, especially as you're leveling up, right? I never saw a barbarian sitting in the background as I was throwing hammers out as a paladin if they had gear. Everybody was in the thick of it. Everybody was contributing. And again, there didn't seem to be any performance or gap in performance across classes, especially when you're playing it as a party. Diablo 4 does not feel this way. It is very, very clear that Sorks are more powerful than Barbs. It's very clear that Necrals are more powerful than Druids, and I think that's a problem as you level through the game, and I will stand my ground on this. I think that level progression to max level, the performance across all classes should be relatively the same. Not having a balance of power in the level experience, I do think, will take away from how people will see this game, especially upon first impressions. Talking about trading, I want to point out I've always loved the trading system in Diablo 2. Maybe it's just nostalgia, but to me, just walking up to a player and saying, hey, what do you want for this? I think adds a lot of simplicity to the game. And again, it encourages more social behavior in the game as well. Now, don't get me wrong, the trading system is not perfect and obviously wouldn't work as well today, but a couple things I think would be important for Diablo 4 developers to think about as it relates to trading are just a couple very basic ideas I think would simplify trading even more. Consider players being able to link their stash. I think this is great, especially for efficiency. Allow players to review character items and character stashes on the character select screen. Believe me, I ran into there were multiple times where I created a game, so for my Haas, for example, I created a game set that said bring Haas, and then a description I said I'm trading for Haas, need badly. And one guy joined my game, and he went to his stash and he said, hey, it's not on this character, BRB. Then he joined again and he went on his next stash. 5 minutes later, it's not on this character, BRB, right? And he had to rejoin like 3 or 4 times before he finally found the character with the item that I was looking for. And I'm very patient, but I could see how that would upset a lot of people. And I could also see how that type of system would prevent the early bird from actually getting the worm. Going on to items, I feel like itemization in Diablo 2 is actually really great. Playing the game again, I do find myself wondering if there really is a need for all these flashy big bang attack moves that proc 100 different buffs and abilities to clear mobs on your screen. Diablo 2 felt much more methodical, and I actually kind of like that. I found myself more engaged with what I was doing. Like, I didn't find myself thinking that I could watch a YouTube video on the side while farming like I could in Diablo 3. I think this is because itemization in Diablo 2 is focused on giving you more of what you already have, whereas Diablo 3 and even Diablo 4 seem to be focused on giving you more goodies, if that makes sense. Next thing, the value of items. Since we know that trading will be returning in Diablo 4 in one way or another, I do think it's important to talk about how we keep track of the value of items. I know that most tenured Diablo 2 players out there already know the value of everything and what they want and, so on and so forth. But as a new player, this is incredibly challenging. Even when Googling things like what items were worth, I still found myself forgetting pretty much everything that I looked at after doing the research. So what I started to do is just write everything down. But even this was off-putting in the sense that other players just wouldn't wait around for me to look at my Google Sheet or my document as I was trying to learn the game at a very, very rapid pace, right? People would often join my game, ask me what I was offering, and then when I went to pull up my document or Google, that person had already left the game. You could easily say that this is a community level problem, but I would actually disagree with this. The system is the problem, and I think it just needs to be toned down for Diablo 4. Efficiency is really important here, and if people are trying to progress quickly, I wouldn't blame someone for leaving after 30 seconds if someone didn't already know or have what was needed in order to have the trade go by as quickly as possible. So outside of that, here are a few final thoughts and we'll close things out. We didn't see this in the beta, but please don't implement Magic Find. It really does suck. I hate it. It really takes away from the progression you feel with your character. I think it's horrible. I hate that system. Items that drop should be around the same level of the difficulty you're clearing content in. So what I mean by that, if you are in Hell or Torment or whatever Diablo 4 is going to do, and you kill the last boss or the hardest boss in that difficulty, and the unique drops, it should not be a level 5 unique. Shared loot is hilarious, but it's definitely not for everyone. I do, however, think a modern system of this would be good and could encourage people to interact with each other via trading more. An example of this would be you can see what drops for your party members, but you cannot pick it up. Maybe it's a setting that you toggle, right, where you say, see other players loot, bop, bop, right? And so, you turn that on, and now you go through the game, you kill the world boss, and the text, I guess, is maybe smaller, a little bit different, and you read it, and maybe someone else got something that you really, really wanted, right? Well, now you might be encouraged to reach out to that person and say, hey, would you be willing to trade for that? Is there anything you want for it? I think that encourages people to be social with one another, which creates a community. Let players have settings for the visual behind items that drop, right? Anybody who has ever watched any PoE video ever, there's so many items in that game that players essentially were given settings to customize the way certain things look, right? Like the text or the tooltip that they see when an item drops. And I think that feature would greatly benefit Diablo 4 as well. So going on from there, playing Diablo 2, I really enjoyed it, and I'm probably going to continue to play it. I still have some things that I'm farming for, and so, however long that takes, I'm just going to enjoy that process. Talking more about Diablo 4, we've already seen some of the things that Diablo 4 has taken from Diablo 2, and I think that for the most part, Diablo 4, in my opinion, is doing a good job, outside of a couple balance issues and all that other fun stuff. But there are also some things that I am concerned about, and not necessarily because I've seen it in the game, but because of what the developers have mentioned. Again, going back to rune words, if they're going to have rune words be as complicated as they are in Diablo 2, I do think it's going to turn people off. Sure, there is an audience for that. We know this because there's still people who play Diablo 2 to this day. People would take a look at a system like that and say, this is not for me. So all around, I'm excited for the future of Diablo 4. Couple suggestions in this video and ideas for sure. If you came across this video and you enjoyed this content, feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. Definitely helps out. And outside of that, that's everything I got for you guys today. So I will see you later and have a good one. See ya!